Calderains hated debt stations. They were loud, dirty places built at the edge of civilized space, where desperate people met greedy systems. No one came here because they wanted to. They came because they had no choice. The station, called Carth 9, floated like a rusted scar near an old trade route. Its lights flickered, and its gravity generators groaned like they were tired of existing. Calder's ship, a small human freighter named Wayfarer, locked into a docking ring with a dull metallic thud. Calder rolled his shoulders and took a breath. He was human, and humans were still new to this part of the galaxy. That made him both invisible and dangerous. Invisible because the big powers did not care about humans yet. Dangerous because humans noticed things others ignored. He stepped off the ship and into the station's main corridor. The air smelled like metal, oil, and fear. Different species moved around him. Tall ones, wide ones, ones with too many eyes, and ones with none. Everyone kept their heads down. Debt stations taught people to look at the floor. Calder was heading toward the trade office when he felt it, the sense of being watched. Humans were good at that. Not special senses, just instinct sharpened by long history. He slowed. That was when he heard a voice behind him. Ooh. It was weak, strained, not confident. Calder turned. She stood near a support beam, half hidden in shadow. She was smaller than most aliens here, her body thin and slightly shaking. Her skin was pale blue, with faint glowing lines along her arms and neck. Her eyes were large, dark, and full of panic. She wore a simple travel wrap, torn in more than one place. Around her wrist was a glowing band, an enforcement collar. Calder recognized it instantly. Debt mark. Please, she said again, stepping closer.
They say humans trade differently.
Calder frowned. Trade how? She hesitated, clearly struggling to find the right words and standard. They say humans value personal symbols. That you exchange. Shame for obligation. Calder felt his stomach tighten.
What exactly did they tell you? He asked carefully. Her hands shook as she lifted them slightly, then stopped, confused by his tone.
I owe more than I can ever pay. I was told that if I offered myself in a way humans understand, you might clear my debt. She swallowed hard.
Take off your pants, she said quietly. I will pay my debt. The words landed like a punch. For a long moment, Calder said nothing. Around them, the station noise continued. Boots on metal, machines humming, voices arguing. But for him, everything narrowed to the alien woman standing in front of him, terrified and serious.
Whoa.
Slowly, Calder exhaled. Her eyes widened. I can also offer service, labor, loyalty. No, he repeated, firmer now. Confusion crossed her face. Then you will report me? Or summon them? Calder shook his head. I'm not going to do anything to you. And you don't owe me anything. She stared at him like he had spoken nonsense. That is not how debts work, she said. That's how humans work, Calder replied. He stepped back and raised his hand slightly, showing he meant no harm. What's your name? Sale, she said after a pause. Okay, Sale. I need you to listen carefully. What you offered me, humans don't do that. Not like this. Not ever. But someone lied to you, he said, on purpose. Her shoulders slumped and her glow dimmed slightly. Then I am finished. No, Calder said. You're not. That got her attention. Calder glanced down the corridor. 2 armored figures stood near a checkpoint, watching traffic. Their armor bore the mark of the Krell Syndicate, one of the largest debt enforcers in this sector. "How much do you owe?" he asked. Sale hesitated. "The number keeps changing." That was all Calder needed to hear. "Come with me," he said. Fear flashed across her face. "Where?" "To my ship."
It's safer than standing here. They will punish you. Calder smiled, but there was no humor in it.
"They can try." They moved quickly but calmly. Calder walked slightly ahead, making it clear she was with him. Humans had learned early that confidence was a shield. Predators preferred weak targets. The enforcers watched them pass but did not interfere. Humans were still listed as low priority. That would change one day. Calder knew it, but not today. Inside the Wayfarer, the door sealed with a soft hiss. The hum of the ship felt warmer than the station's cold metal. Sale looked around in wonder.
"It's small, efficient," Calder corrected.
"Sit." She sat on the bench near the cargo wall, folding in on herself. Calder pulled up a holographic display and scanned the enforcement band on her wrist. Lines of data scrolled across the screen. His expression darkened. "This debt is illegal," he said. Sayal looked up sharply. "That is impossible. Not by human standards." The contract was a nightmare. Compound interest, undefined labor clauses, penalties for things not even explained. It was designed to grow forever. To trap, "They bought my family's shipping rights," Sale said quietly. "When our route collapsed, they offered help. Then the fees came. Then the penalties." Calder clenched his jaw. He had seen this before. Not on this scale, but enough to recognize the pattern. Predatory systems did not need chains when contracts worked better.
"You were never meant to pay this off," he said.
Her voice broke. "Then why let me live?" Calder met her eyes. "Because fear keeps others obedient." Silence filled the ship. After a moment, Sayel asked, "Why did you refuse?" He blinked. "Refuse what?" "My offer," she said. "Others did not." Something cold settled in Calder's chest. "Humans have a rule," he said slowly. "If someone has no real choice, then any agreement is a lie. We learned that the hard way, long ago."
She stared at him.
"Your species is strange." "Yeah," Calder said softly. "We get that a lot." An alert sounded. "Incoming signal. Krell Syndicate frequency." Calder accepted it. A sharp, metallic voice filled the cabin. "Whoa. Human vessel. You are in possession of registered debt property. Release it immediately." Calder leaned back in his chair. "She's not property. Her contract states otherwise. I've reviewed it," Calder said. "It violates at least 6 interstellar trade standards and about 30 human ones." There was a pause, then a low, amused sound. "Human laws are irrelevant here." "Maybe," Calder replied. "But exposure isn't." Another pause. Longer this time. "You are advised to disengage," the voice said. "This matter does not concern you." Calder smiled again, and this time there was something sharp behind it. "It concerns me now." He ended the transmission. Sayel looked at him in shock. "They will escalate." "Good," Calder said. He opened a secure channel and began uploading data. Contracts, scans, recordings to a human trade network node. "What are you doing?" Sale asked. "Making the debt public," he said. "That's something the Syndicate hates. Why would other humans care?" Calder's fingers paused. "'Cause humans don't like bullies," he said.
And we really don't like systems that force people to beg. Outside the ship, station alarms flickered briefly, then stopped. Something was already moving behind the scenes.
Sale hugged herself, unsure whether to feel hope or fear. Human Calder. she said quietly.
If this fails, I will suffer for it.
Calder looked at her, serious now. Then it won't fail. Beyond the hull, the stars burned silently. Somewhere out there, messages were spreading. Humans were reading. Humans were asking questions. The Syndicate had no idea what they had just triggered. And for the first time since her debt began, Sayel felt something unfamiliar rise in her chest. Not safety, but the possibility of it. The human network did not react loudly at first. It reacted quietly. Calder watched the data traffic climb on his console as the Wayfarer drifted in low power mode. Messages spread through human trade channels, then private legal forums, then encrypted civic groups. No shouting, no threats, just questions. Lots of questions. Sayel sat nearby, her glowing lines slowly pulsing as if unsure whether to brighten or fade. She had never seen anything like this. No guards, no punishments. Just silence filled with movement she could not see.
Why are they not responding? She asked.
They are, Calder said. Just not the way you expect.
Another alert chimed. This time it was not the Syndicate. Human origin. Calder opened the channel. A calm voice spoke.
This is Mara Vance, independent contract analyst. We saw your upload.
Good, Calder replied.
Then you see the problem. I do, Mara said.
So do several thousand other humans. Sayel leaned forward slightly. Calder could feel her attention like a quiet weight.
The debt structure is intentionally infinite, Mara continued. It's legal in some regions.
Not in others.
The enforcement collar violates at least 3 biological autonomy accords.
That's what I thought, Calder said. There's more, Mara added.
This contract is replicated. Same language.
Same traps, different victims. Sayel's breath caught. Others?
Yes, Mara said.
A lot of them. Calder closed his eyes for a moment. Anger burned behind them, slow and steady.
What happens now? He asked.
Mara paused.
Now humans start doing what they do best when someone tells them this is just how things are. The channel closed. Sayel looked at Calder.
You are smiling, am I? He asked.
Yes, she said. It is a dangerous expression. He nodded. That's fair. Outside the ship, the station felt different. The noise had changed. Not louder, tighter. Enforcers moved more often, their patrol routes overlapping. The Krell Syndicate had noticed the disturbance. They always noticed late. A warning ping flashed on Calder's console. Local broadcast incoming. The metallic voice returned, sharper now. Human vessel. You are interfering with sanctioned economic processes. Cease transmission immediately. Calder did not answer. Instead, he forwarded the message to the same network. Sa stared at him. You are provoking them. No, Calder said. I'm documenting them. The ship shook slightly as a nearby patrol vessel passed too close. Sayel's voice dropped. They have crushed worlds for less. Calder leaned back in his chair. And humans have ended systems for less.
DALSTECE, new.
Well, no weapon was no. She studied him, trying to understand. Well supped from this, she studied him.
Just not the ones they expect. Another message came through. Then, another. Human lawyers, economists, medics, historians, all asking for access. All asking permission to dig deeper. Calder granted it. Sayel's collar pulsed, then flickered. She gasped and grabbed her wrist. What's happening? She asked.
Someone's testing the control authority, Calder said. They're not removing it yet.
Just poking. Tears welled in her eyes. It has never flickered before. Calder swallowed. Hold on. The syndicate responded faster this time. The station lights dimmed briefly, then returned. A clear sign of authority assertion. A message followed, broadcast on all channels. Human interference is destabilizing lawful debt operations. Any further disruption will result in penalties. Sayel flinched. They will hurt others because of me. Calder stood. No, he said firmly. They're afraid. He turned to face her. Sayel, listen to me. Do you know why your offer shocked me? She lowered her gaze. Because it was wrong? Because it meant the system convinced you that your dignity had a price, he said. Humans have been there. We remember what that does.
She looked up slowly. And you did not forget?
No, Calder said.
We got angry.
A sharp knock echoed through the ship. Both of them froze.
Human Calder! A voice called from outside. Open the hatch! Calder checked the sensors.
2 syndicate enforcers. Heavy armor.
Legal override warrants flashing on their badges.
He exhaled slowly and opened the channel, not the door.
You're trespassing, Calder said.
You are harboring debt property, the enforcer replied. Release her? She's not property, Calder said again. The enforcer's tone changed. Human stubbornness will cost her more than compliance. Sayle's hands clenched. Her glow dimmed. Calder felt something inside him harden. You want her, he said.
Then come get her. But understand this. You lay a hand on her, and every human channel will see it. A pause.
You overestimate your relevance, the enforcer said. Calder smiled.
You underestimate our memory. The enforcers exchanged a look. Then, slowly, they stepped back. This is not over, the voice said. The footsteps faded. Sayel let out a shaking breath. They're retreated. For now, Calder said. They're deciding how much this costs them. Minutes passed, then hours. Human traffic surged. Other victims began to speak. Stories poured in. Families trapped. Species broken. Lives reduced to numbers. The same contract language appeared again and again. Patterns emerged. Sayel read quietly, her eyes wide.
I thought I was alone. You never were,
Calder said. Another alert chimed. Priority Human Council. Channel. Calder accepted. A different voice this time. Older, tired, focused.
This is Ambassador Imani Reyes, the voice said. We're assembling a response.
Official? Unofficial, Reyes said. For now. But it won't stay that way. What do you need from me? Calder asked. Time, Reyes said. And for you to keep being visible. Sayel whispered. They are helping.
Yes, Rhea said, somehow hearing her.
Because humans don't like learning they were late to injustice. The channel closed. The station alarm sounded again, longer this time. Ships undocked in a rush. Enforcers moved with purpose now, not confidence. Sayle's collar pulsed violently, then went dark for a full second. She cried out. Calder rushed to her side. Easy! It tried to trigger, she gasped. But it failed. Calder stared at the readings. They're losing control. Fear and hope warred across her face.
What if they shut it down permanently? Then they admit it was never legal, Calder said. The lights steadied.
Outside, a syndicate ship departed the station at high speed. Sail looked at the stars beyond the viewport.
They are running. Not running, Calder said. Repositioning.
She nodded slowly. Then this is only the beginning. Calder met her gaze. Yeah, he said. It always is. Far beyond Karth. 9. Human networks continued to grow louder. Not with anger, but with resolve. Systems that had stood unchallenged for centuries were being examined for the first time. And somewhere deep inside the collapsing structure of debt and fear, a dangerous idea was spreading. What if this was never acceptable? For the Syndicate, that question was far more terrifying than any weapon. For Sael, it was the first real breath she had taken in years. Calder did not sleep. The Wayfarer drifted in a quiet orbit while human channels stayed alive, flowing like a river that refused to freeze. Messages kept coming, not fast, but steady. Each one added weight. Sail watched him from the bench, her posture less folded than before. The glow along her skin had returned. Faint, but steady. Fear was still there, but it no longer owned her.
They are still talking, she said.
They will for a while, Calder replied. Humans take turns thinking.
It looks slow from the outside, she nodded.
Your silence is louder than their threats. An alert pulsed red. Local authority broadcast.
Calder opened it. A neutral station administrator appeared, their species hard to read. Human Calder Rains. Due to escalating disruption, you are ordered to submit to inspection.
On what grounds? Calder asked.
Debt interference, the administrator said.
The Krell Syndicate has filed a complaint.
Calder tilted his head. Filed where? The administrator hesitated. Within standard channels. Those channels are under review, Calder said calmly. You might want to wait. The administrator's eyes flicked to another screen.
Human involvement is complicating matters. That's what we do, Calder said. The feed cut.
Sael let out a slow breath.
They are confused. Good,
Calder said. Confusion is the first crack. Another message arrived. This one marked priority. Civilian. Calder opened it. A woman's face appeared, older than him, eyes sharp. Name's Lila Chen.
I run freight law out of the inner belt. Calder nodded. I've heard of you. Then you know I don't bluff, Lila said.
We traced the Syndicate's contracts back 200 cycles. They're built on borrowed authority. Sael leaned forward. Borrowed? They never had the right to enforce on half the species they targeted, Lila said. They just acted first. Calder smiled. That tracks. We're filing challenges, Lila continued. Not one case. Thousands. Different jurisdictions. Different times. Sail's eyes widened.
At once? Yes, Lila said.
We call it flooding the field. The channel closed. Calder leaned back and finally rubbed his eyes. Sael watched him. You are tired. Yeah, he admitted. But it's the good kind. The station shuddered. Not hard, just enough to feel. Sael froze. That was not normal. Calder checked sensors. No weapons. Just a pressure shift. Another alert followed. Power fluctuations across the station. Cargo bay seals cycling. Docking clamps locking and unlocking.
They are flexing,
Calder muttered. Showing they still can. A broadcast cut across all channels. The metallic Syndicate voice returned, stripped of calm.
Human interference has triggered safety protocols. All debt assets will be secured immediately. Sail's collar flared bright.
She screamed. Calder grabbed her wrist, steadying it.
Hey, stay with me.
The collar pulsed again, then sputtered. Data flooded Calder's screen as human countermeasures pushed back. Sail collapsed against him. shaking. It tried to shut my lungs, she gasped. Calder felt cold rage settle in his chest. Not loud, focused. That was a mistake, he said quietly. He opened a channel without asking permission. Public. He uploaded the collar data in real time. Human networks erupted. Not in noise, in precision. Medical experts flagged the collar's functions. Engineers mapped its failsafes. Lawyers highlighted the attempt as assault. The syndicate tried to pull the broadcast. It failed. Sale clutched Calder's sleeve. They tried to kill me.
They tried, Calder said. Now everyone knows. The station administrator returned, voice tight. Dab.
Human Calder? The syndicate is withdrawing enforcement teams? Calder raised an eyebrow. That fast? They claim technical instability. Funny, Calder said.
That word keeps coming up. Sile looked around the ship, then back at him. What happens to the others? Calder's fingers moved across the console. That's the next part!
A new channel opened. This one filled with many faces. Different ages, different backgrounds. All human. Imani Reyes was there.
So was she?
Reyes said, nodding toward Sael. The one who started this. Sael stiffened. I did not mean to... You meant to survive, Reyes said.
That's enough, Reyes continued. We have confirmation of 47 active det hubs using the same framework. Calder frowned. Only 47? Reyes allowed herself a thin smile.
So far, Sale whispered. That is, many lives. Yes, Reyes said, which is why we're doing this carefully.
Careful doesn't mean slow.
No, Reyes agreed.
It means undeniable. The channel filled with shared data.
Court filings, sanctions, drafts, trade advisories. Human corporations quietly rerouting supply lines away from syndicate-controlled space. Sale watched in awe.
You are starving them. We're reminding them they're not inevitable, Calder said.
A sudden ping interrupted the flow. Unknown origin. Calder hesitated, then accepted. The screen filled with a different kind of face, not armored, not metallic.
An older Krell, markings faded. You are damaging a necessary system, the Krell said. Det maintains order.
Calder leaned forward. No, fear maintains order. Det just wears its face. The Krell's eyes narrowed. Your species is reckless. Yeah, Calder said. We know. The Krell's voice dropped. If you continue, markets will collapse.
Worlds will suffer. Sale spoke before Calder could stop her.
Worlds already suffer, she said, voice shaking but clear. Because you taught us we were worth less than numbers. The Krell stared at her. Something flickered there. Not guilt.
Calculation. You are expendable, the Krell said.
Calder smiled without warmth.
You just said the quiet part out loud. The channel cut.
Silence followed. Then movement. Across the station, ships began undocking in an orderly line. Not panic. Evacuation. They're clearing assets, Calder said. Pulling back to core hubs. Sale hubbed herself. They will regroup. Yes, Calder said.
But now they're visible.
Another message came through. This one from a small alien collective. Not human. They asked a simple question. Can we join? Calder stared at the screen. Reyes exhaled. It's spreading. Sale's glow brightened.
They are not alone anymore.
No, Calder said.
None of you are.
Hours passed. The station grew quieter. Less patrols. Less threat. Sayal slept for the first time without restraints biting into her skin. The collar stayed dark. Calder watched the stars and listened to the hum of systems that were finally, slowly, losing their grip. He knew this was not over, but it was no longer just him. Across human space, a reputation was forming. Not of conquerors, not of saviors, of people who looked at a cruel rule and asked a dangerous question. Why? And then refused to accept the answer. When Sayal woke, she found Calder still there.
You stayed, she said softly. Yeah, he replied.
Someone had to. She sat up. Steady now. What will they call this? Calder thought for a moment. They'll call it instability, he said. We'll call it progress. Outside, the stars kept burning. And for the first time in generations, the system that taught people to beg felt something new. Pressure. The wayfarer was no longer alone. Human ships appeared in the outer lanes of Karth-9, not in a swarm, not in formation, but spread out and calm. Cargo haulers, survey vessels, old freighters that had no business being this far out. None of them carried weapons worth mentioning. They did not need to. Sayal stood at the viewport watching lights drift into place. They came, she said quietly. Calder nodded. Told you. Humans hate being late. The station felt different again. Not tense this time. Uncertain. Authority signals overlapped, contradicted each other, then went silent. The Krell Syndicate's control markers flickered on and off like a failing heartbeat. A new message arrived, marked Multi-Species Civilian Channel. Calder opened it. Faces appeared. Not human. Not Krell. Traders. Workers. Families. Some wore collars like Sayal's. Others bore scars where collars used to be. A voice spoke, rough and tired. We saw what you did. The data. The broadcast. Another voice followed. If the contracts are false, what happens to us? Calder leaned forward. That's what we're finding out, together. Sayal felt something tighten in her chest. Not fear. Responsibility. They are looking at you. Calder said softly. I did nothing, she replied. You survived, he said. That's more than enough. The syndicate struck back without warning. Not with ships, with markets. Trade values across nearby systems spiked and crashed in chaotic waves. Supplies vanished from some stations and flooded others. Panic rippled through channels as prices jumped overnight. Sayal gasped as she read the feeds. They are punishing everyone. They always do, Calder said. They want people to beg for stability. A priority human channel opened. Imani Reyes looked more tired now, but her voice was steady. They're trying to make this look like your fault. Calder snorted. Classic. We expected it, Reyes said. Countermeasures are active. What kind? Calder asked. Reyes smiled faintly. Boring ones. Within hours, human shipping cooperatives adjusted routes. Emergency stockpiles opened. Independent traders undercut syndicate prices by absurd margins. Where humans could not reach, data did. Sayal watched numbers settle, then slowly normalize. They are fixing it, she said in disbelief. They're showing that stability doesn't belong to one system, Calder replied. The Krell Syndicate responded again, a formal declaration this time. The message echoed across public space, carefully worded and cold. The Krell Syndicate announces the suspension of all contested debts pending review. Sayal's breath caught. Suspension? Calder read deeper. They're freezing enforcement to stop the bleeding. Is that good?
she asked. It's a start, he said. But it's not justice. The declaration ended with a warning. Unauthorized interference will be remembered. Sale shivered. They promise revenge. Calder shook his head. They promise memory. Big difference. Another message arrived, this one unexpected. A small council of non-aligned species requested a conference. Calder accepted. The channel filled with unfamiliar faces, cautious but curious. A tall avian figure spoke first. Humans, you have destabilized a long-standing order. Calder nodded. Yes. Why? Another asked. Sale spoke before Calder could. Her voice trembled, but she did not stop. Because the order was built on silence, she said. And silence breaks people. The council went quiet. Then the avian spoke again. If these debts are voided, what replaces them? Calder answered this time. Choice, contracts that end, labor that is paid, systems that fail without owning lives. That is inefficient, someone said. Calder smiled. So was slavery. The word hung there, translated into dozens of meanings. The council did not argue. The conference ended without agreement. But it ended. That alone mattered. Hours later, Sale's collar chimed softly. She froze. Calder was at her side instantly. Easy. What does it show? She stared at the display. Her hands shook. It says Enforcement Authority revoked. Calder blinked. Say that again? She swallowed. Pending legal dissolution. The collar unlocked with a soft click and fell away. Sayel stared at it in her hands, uncomprehending. Then she laughed. It came out broken and sharp, halfway to a sob. I can breathe, she said. Calder let out a long breath he did not know he was holding. Yeah, you can. The moment did not last. Alarms flared across the station. Not syndicate alarms. Civilian ones. Unknown vessels emerged from jump points. Sleek and unfamiliar. Reyes's face appeared again.
We have a situation.
Calder's jaw tightened. Let me guess. Not Krell. No, Reyes said. Competitors. They smell blood. Saul's glow dimmed. They will try to take control. Yes, Reyes said. But this time, they're not hiding. The unknown fleet broadcast a message confident and smooth. The old system has failed. We offer replacement governance. Calder laughed once, harshly. Of course they do. Sale looked at him. Is it always like this? Pretty much, Calder said. The trick is making sure no one replaces one chain with another. Human channels ignited again, this time faster, sharper. Warnings spread, advisories, joint statements. But something else happened too. Alien voices joined in. Species that had stayed quiet before now spoke up. They shared contracts, shared stories, shared proof. The would-be replacements hesitated. Their fleet slowed. They did not expect resistance, Sayel said. No one ever does, Calder replied. From people they think are small. A tense standoff followed. Hours stretched thin. The new fleet probed. Humans and others refused to engage. Finally, the fleet withdrew. Not defeated, denied. The station exhaled. Sayel sat on the floor, exhausted. Is it over? Calder sat beside her. No, but it's changed. She looked at the collar in her hands. For now, he said.
Whatever you want. She frowned slightly, unfamiliar with the idea.
I have never had that. You do now, he said. And you're not alone figuring it out. Days passed.
The Krell Syndicate's influence continued to shrink. Legal challenges multiplied. Trade partners vanished. Their reputation cracked, then fractured.
Not destroyed. Wounded. Sale began helping, translating.
Explaining how the system trapped people. She spoke on channels she had once been forbidden to see. Her voice grew stronger. Calder watched her one night as she finished a call.
You're good at this, she shrugged. I know how it feels to be unheard. Ha! That's a skill, he said.
A message arrived from Reyes. The council is forming, she said.
Multi-species. Oversight only.
No enforcement. Sale tilted her head.
You trust councils? Calder chuckled.
No, but we trust watching them, Reyes added. Your presence would matter. Sale stiffened. Mine? Yes, Reyes said.
They need to see who this was for.
Sale looked at Calder. He smiled. Your choice. She took a breath, a deep one. Then I will go, she said. Outside the viewport, Karth 9 looked smaller than before. Less like a cage, more like a crossroads. The galaxy had not become kind, but it had become aware, and awareness, Calder knew, was the beginning of every real change. Far away, the Krell Syndicate watched systems slip through their grasp, unable to understand one simple thing. They had never lost a force. They had lost a people who refused to look away. The council chamber did not look powerful. That surprised many. It was not built of gold or stone or shining alloys. It was simple, wide, and open, with seats arranged in a circle instead of rows. No one sat above anyone else. There were no chains, no guards standing close. Sale noticed that first. She stood beside Calder at the edge of the chamber, her hands steady now. The glow along her skin was calm, no longer flickering with fear. Around her, beings of many species took their places. Some were large, some small. Some looked confident, others looked like they expected pain. Old habits died slowly. This is it, Calder said quietly. Sale nodded. This is where systems change?
This is where they try, he replied. Change is messy. The council began without ceremony. A neutral speaker addressed the room.
We are here because an old structure failed. Not suddenly, not by accident. It failed because it depended on silence. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Sail felt the eyes on her. Not hungry, not judging. Curious? She stepped forward when her name was called. Her voice did not shake. I was taught that my life had a price, she said simply. Not a value. A price. One that increased the more I tried to pay it. Some nodded, others looked away.
I believed this was normal, Sale continued.
Because everyone around me pretended it was. She paused, then added, until a human told me no. Calder felt a tightness in his chest. Sale turned slightly, looking at the room, not him. Not with force, not with threats. Just no. The chamber was silent. That word broke the system, she said. Not because it was loud, because it was honest.
A delegate rose. If we remove debt enforcement, trade collapses.
Calder spoke then. Trade existed before cages. It will exist after.
Another delegate asked, and if people refuse obligations?
Calder shrugged. Then you stop trading with them. You don't own them.
That caused discomfort.
Good. The session stretched for hours. Arguments rose and fell. Some delegates left, others joined. Data flowed freely, visible to all. Nothing was hidden. That, more than anything, unsettled the old powers watching from afar. Far away, the Krell Syndicate observed in silence. Their analysts showed projections. Losses, influence decay, reputation collapse.
This will pass, one said.
The elder Krell shook his head. No, this spreads.
Then we crush it, another suggested.
With what? The elder asked coldly. Violence proves them right.
Restraint proves them patient. Quote, silence fell. They had built a system that fed on fear.
Fear no longer obeyed. Back in the chamber, the council reached its first agreement. Not a law, a principle. No debt contract could include control over a living being's body or future without clear end and choice. Simple. Dangerous. Sail closed her eyes as the vote passed. Calder exhaled slowly.
It's not everything, he whispered.
No, Sail replied, but it's real. The Krell Syndicate made one last move. They leaked data, half-truths, old human mistakes, images meant to provoke shame and doubt. Humans saw them and shrugged. We did those things, Human Channel said calmly. That's how we know they're wrong. The attack failed. Trade lanes adjusted. New agreements formed. Some worlds struggled. Humans helped quietly, not as rulers, but as neighbors.
The galaxy learned something strange. Humans did not arrive to conquer.
They arrived to argue. Weeks passed. Sail walked freely now. No collar, no escort. She spoke to those still afraid, not as a symbol, but as someone who understood. One evening, she sat with Calder on the Wayfarer, watching stars drift past. Will they hate us?
Some already do, Calder said. That's fine. For what you did. For what we refused to do, he corrected.
She considered that. You could have taken advantage. Calder nodded.
Yeah, why didn't you?
He thought for a long moment.
Because humans learn something the hard way, he said.
Power taken that way rots everything it touches. Sail smiled softly. You are a strange species. He grinned. Still true. A message arrived from the council. The Krell Syndicate's enforcement charter had been formally dissolved. They would continue as a trade group, without collars, without ownership, without fear. Sael read the words twice. They're finished, she said. Calder shook his head. No.
They're changed. That's harder.
She leaned back, looking at the stars. What will they say about humans now? Calder laughed quietly. Probably that we're dangerous. She smiled wider. Are you? He met her gaze. Only two bad ideas. The Wayfarer adjusted course, heading toward open space. Sail watched the familiar systems fade behind them. For the first time, she did not feel pulled backward by invisible chains. What will you do? Calder asked her. She thought carefully.
I will help build things that end,
she said. Contracts that finish. Systems that can fail without breaking people.
He nodded. Good work. And you?
She asked. Calder smiled at the stars. I'll keep flying. Keep noticing things. She laughed softly. That may be the most dangerous job of all. Somewhere in the galaxy, a warning began to circulate among old powers. Do not mistake human kindness for weakness. Do not mistake their patience for ignorance. And never assume they will accept a system just because it is old. Because humans did not conquer the galaxy. They questioned it. And once questioned, it could never go back to sleep.